Hello, this is Howie from Procure.FYI. Today I'm going to talk you through our latest product release, our federal SaaS contract payment data. A little bit about Procure.FYI. We are a business intelligence and a data product company that transforms software procurement, financial research, and competitive analysis with our very comprehensive federal software contract database. We have two primary products, which we will touch upon later. But what really differentiates us are three things. One is our focus on software sector, and two is our price is a fraction of our competitors, and three is our in-depth analysis on federal contracts. Without further ado, this is our front page where you can see we have like two sections focused on two different data products we have. One is our latest release, the federal SaaS contract payment data, where you have data descriptions. You can have access to the database once you subscribe. We have 6 companies that are very popular among our users that we decide to make it public for the public to see. And then here are 2 dashboards that have been really helpful for our users to understand, what is the summary of our data. Those 2 dashboards each have multiple tabs. One is based on the total spend on all the OEMs. We have over 70 OEMs that we track, including the majority of the SaaS vendors tracked by Bessemer's Cloud Index. And we track the data since 2019. That is the fiscal year, because we think the last 5 years are the most relevant. But obviously, we have a longer period data available if it is of interesting to you. And here we have 2 tabs. We can see which department. This is the interface by federal agencies. Which agency, which department spent most on SaaS, right? Not surprising. DoD is number 1, and we have Health and Human Service as number 2. And the second interface, we have the summary of the data by different OEMs or the vendors. You can see Oracle, unsurprisingly, is number 1 in terms of the total government spent. And we have a summary of the total spent. Oracle last 4.5 years have over almost 4.5 billion. And we have the latest quarter data here as well. So those are the free information that we provide to the public to explore and navigate. One thing is really helpful is if for the case where you want to analyze a horse race between different companies, if 2 competitors, randomly click on, if I want to say how much government is spent on dual security versus CrowdStrike, you get to immediately have a very distinctive view of how those 2 companies spent compared to each other. So, this is the free section of our data exploration, over 70 different OEMs, and you have all the OEM names across here. But without further ado, here's our full data portal, where you can access in the data portal here, where we host 2 of our databases. There are our 2 data products. We host the data in this interface that is powered by Airtable. And on the left side, you see on Airtable here, we have 2 tabs. This is a great view for each of the contract and transactions. 2 tabs are for different data products. One is the SaaS contract payment, which is what we are talking about. And then the other is the SaaS product pricing, which is the pricing for specific product that we find in public sources, covering over 53 different companies. But today we are focusing on this total contract payment across all federal agencies, across over 70 different companies. It is a comprehensive view of what the federal government spent on. On the right side, we have this extension, which essentially is a dashboard. Each extension, you can select different extensions. Each extension corresponds to a different data product. So, make sure if you are looking at SaaS contract payment, select the SaaS contract payment extension. And you can expand the extension here to view that in full screen, which we give you a very high level summary view of very useful data. So here's total obligation, which is payment quarter over quarter. We'll always see a hike because most of the contract is done in Q3 around September. And here you have a quarter over quarter of all the companies that we track. based on their quarter-over-quarter government obligation, which is again, cash paid and spent. And here you have based on all options by company. What based on all option means is if you have a multi-year contract, after paid first year, the government would sign a contract with you saying next 3 or 4 years, we have a potential to have reach the ceiling of a payment. So this is the option the government have to pay in the future, in the next couple of years. And again, Oracle, no surprising, about $5 billion. And here we have paid obligation by different agencies, like DoD or Homeland Security, how much they are spending, how does that trend year over year. And then lastly, again, we look at base and options by fiscal year. And this is where give you a more distinctive view of year-on-year basis, how different companies track or the total spend on SaaS across US government. Because our action year starts in 2019, we start showing the graph bar starting in 2019. But what is interesting about this extension is that once you select a specific company here, which we will talk about in a bit, the dashboard really show you the company view, or if you select multiple companies, show you the comparable view. Now for the sake of exploration, I'm going to close up the extension before inviting it out again later. But the columns here, our data has over 20 different columns from, what is the company to how much the government paid, and based on all options, how much they are there, when did this action take place, the quarter, fiscal years, those information, which agency brought it, and a very detailed description of this transaction, and some of all identification numbers and all the other information you need to identify this transaction, and even a website where you can look at the company's information or the transactions information further on usspending.gov. And what is another thing is differentiate our database is that we look at all different type of transaction type, primary transaction or secondary transaction. Again, all those information here on each column, you can filter and aggregate them. Here we have, you can aggregate them by view. We look at primary transaction, but we also have sub-awards. This is one way to really helpful to explore the database. So, 20 different columns, you can aggregate the database, you can sort the database, you can search the database. If I'm only interested in, I'm only interested in CrowdStrike. Oh, CrowdStrike, yes. Right. So we can see year over year what the contracts are. And what's more interesting, as I mentioned earlier, in this extension really allows you to see a different view of how CrowdStrike's federal sales behaved in the last 5-ish years. We have a quarter-to-quarter obligation. We have total amount of based on all options, almost $45 million, $44 million. Which department bought this the products from CrowdStrike, and on the fiscal year-over-year basis, right? So how did their total contract value increase or decrease on year-over-year? We see a clear jump in 2021 and decrease in 2022. Not sure how 2023 will be, because in our other product database, we see the government is buying a lot of different products from CrowdStrike. They have a very effective and efficient sales channel with the federal government. But this is one way you can explore and use the data, and hopefully, this is helpful for you. And let us know if you have any questions. Visit our website, sign up for a free trial. Hopefully this can be useful for your business and endeavor.